Here you will have free English and French videos to increase your skills to talk and to immigrate to Canada. You will have these videos from the partnership with Canada Smart Mind. Subscribe yourself to not miss any video. You only want to say something and you want to be understood by the other person, but sometimes it is not that easy. That is why you have to learn the 3 basic elements of communication: how works the executor, the action, and the receiver, and that is what you are going to see here. You are going to have 1. A grammar rule to know how to say your things. 2. A text to improve your pronunciation. 3. An exercise to consolidate your knowledge. You will learn how to speak and listen to English and French. You will have free videos of English and French and how to settle, especially in Canada. That is why it's very important to click on the bell icon to receive the latest videos. Do you want to get rid of your language concerns? Here you improve your 4 skills: listening, reading, writing, and speaking to get a higher score on international tests in order to improve your career abilities and to immigrate to Canada or to any other English or French speaking country. Pay close attention to this video to find out how. In exchange, you help us by clicking on the bell icon and on the subscribe button and on the like button to spread the name of Canada Smart Mind. Now, here we go. 1. Grammar rule. How to address people in English. What should I call you? English learners often feel confused about how to address people properly. Many feel uncomfortable asking the question, "What should I call you?" Even native English people find this question awkward. For example, many women don't know how to address their boyfriend's mother. On the other hand, some parents don't know what to call their children's teacher: first name, surname, family name, last name, William Shakespeare, Sarah Palin, Vladimir Putin. Why is "what should I call you" such a difficult question to ask? Perhaps it's because you are asking the other person to provide their status or position in the world in relation to yours. This position may involve age, job, education, religion, and even marital status. Note that for Mr. we say Mr., for Mrs. we say Mrs., for Miss we say Miss, for Ms. we say Ms. In some English-speaking countries it is traditional for a woman to change her last name when she gets married. However, not all women do. If a woman you know has been recently married, do not assume her name will change. You can safely ask, "Are you going by the same name?" This question gets trickier when a woman gets divorced or becomes a widow. Some women will change their name back to their maiden name. A widowed woman often keeps her husband's name unless she remarries. A divorced woman often changes her name back to her maiden name. If you don't know the woman well, wait for her to tell you if her name is changing. Since English is a language rather than a culture, it is difficult to teach English learners exactly how to address people. There will always be some people in some professions that require more formality than others. Addressing people in writing has different rules and formalities than in speaking. Asking the question: if you are unsure of what to call someone, it's best to use a formal address or simply ask one of these questions: what should I call you? What should I call your mom? The teacher? The manager? Can I call you first name? Is it okay if I call you the nickname you've heard others use? What's your name? Use in a casual situation like a party or classroom where first names are used. Answering the question, you might not be the only person wondering about titles. Students, colleagues, or acquaintances may not know what to call you. If they seem unsure about how to pronounce your name, or you want them to call you something more casual, help them out. Please call me first name. You can call me nickname or short form. Formal titles in English. In business situations, use formal titles unless the people you meet tell you otherwise. To get someone's attention, you can say "excuse me, sir," or "pardon me, madam, ma'am." To greet someone, you can say "hello, sir," or "good morning, madam, ma'am." The phrase "yes, sir," or "yes, madam, ma'am" is sometimes used by native speakers in a sarcastic way. For example, when a young child tells his father to close his newspaper, the parent might say, "Yes, sir," and laugh. You might also hear a mother saying, "No, madam, ma'am," to her daughter's request for something unreasonable. Here are the formal titles English speakers use. Listen to the pronunciation: sir, adult male of any age; ma'am, adult female, North American; madam, adult female; Mr. plus last name, any man; Mrs. plus last name, married woman who uses her husband's last name; Ms. plus last name, married or unmarried woman. Common in business, Miss plus last name, unmarried woman. Doctor plus last name, some doctors go by doctor plus first name, professor plus last name. In a university setting, when you are writing to someone for the first time, use a formal address Mr. or Ms. plus the person's last name, if you know it. If you can't find the last name, use a generic title such as Sir or Madam. The respondent may address you by your first name and sign off with their first name. In today's business world, the following correspondence is usually more casual. If you write back a second time, you can use the respondent's letter as a guideline. If they address you by your first name and sign off with their first name, you can do the same. Occasionally you may have a close relationship with someone who typically gets called Sir, Madam, Mr., or Mrs., for example, a business executive, a celebrity, a professor, or a person older than yourself. At some point this person may give you permission to use his or her first name. In English we use the phrase on a first name basis or on first name terms to describe a relationship that is not as formal as it seems it should be. To describe this you would say, for example, Pete's mom and I are on a first name basis, or my teacher and I are on first name terms. Informal titles in English, casual or very close relationships require an informal form of address, first name, friends, students, children, Miss, Mr. plus first name, sometimes used by dance or music teachers or childcare workers, titles of affection, when addressing a child, a romantic partner, or a close friend or family member, usually younger. People often use these terms of endearment, also known as pet names, honey, child, romantic partner, or younger person, dear, sweetie, love, darling, babe or baby, romantic partner, pal, father or grandfather calls male child, buddy or bud, very informal between friends, or adult to child, can be seen as negative. Now, here is the grammar rule that you can use while you are talking. Remember, you got to have the grammar rules, the pronunciation, and the vocabulary to sustain your conversation. I wish I could say some nice words and cool you down, but here is the thing, you have to go deep into your practice to develop your skills. We post here the basics of grammar, pronunciation, and vocabulary. So hit the subscribe button and bell icon in order to receive the other videos and increase your ability to speak. Also, contact us to see how easy and cheap it is to enroll in our teaching program, where you can have videos, exercises, and books to support your work and to increase your performance. And share this video with your friends and help them out too. Text.
The U.S. government may have rejected visas for about 500 Chinese students this school year because of a policy from the administration of President Donald Trump. The policy is supposed to prevent Chinese students from stealing American technology and giving it to the Chinese military. Wang Zhiwei is a 23-year-old finance student at Washington University in St. Louis, Missouri. Wang was hoping to come back to school in America after attending video classes at home in China. However, he said the U.S. Embassy took away his student visa this year. The whole thing is nonsense, Wang said. What do we finance students have to do with the military? He asked. The students are not the only ones who say they are affected. Businesses and other individuals say the policy affects their plans. The policy is supposed to keep people who are connected to the Chinese Communist Party, the People's Liberation Army, or universities that work on military projects from coming to the United States. U.S. officials say thousands of students and researchers are connected with Chinese government programs. These programs ask students to take medical, computer, and other technical information to China. A 2020 report from the U.S. State Department said the Chinese government exploits private businesses, researchers, and students so it can build its military. The State Department said the Chinese government has a plan for civil-military fusion. That means it treats private businesses and universities as partners that will help China develop new technologies. Chinese officials asked Wendy Sherman, the U.S. Deputy Secretary of State, to drop the visa restrictions when she visited in July. President Joe Biden has not talked about the problem. The U.S. Embassy in Beijing told the Associated Press that the policy is necessary to protect U.S. national security interests. It also noted that although there are 500 students who are upset, the U.S. did approve 85,000 others. The embassy added, the United States stands ready to issue visas to all those who are qualified. Wang, who would only give his family name, said he was denied a visa when he wanted to go with his wife to California, where she is studying childhood cancer. He is an engineer with a company that makes aircraft in China. Chinese news reports said people like Huang are denied because they went to Chinese schools connected with the Ministry of Industry and Information Technology. I was insulted, Huang said. Huang said his wife was supposed to study in California for 3 years, but she will reduce her trip to 1 year because she cannot be away from her family for so long. The U.S. also sent 3 students home to China in August after they arrived at the Houston airport. Agents found military training photos on their phones. A foreign ministry spokesperson said the Chinese government deplores and rejects the U.S. policy. Lawyers who say they are working with a group of 2,000 students said they plan to ask the U.S. to remove the restrictions or change them so more students can come. Before studying in St. Louis, Wang Zhiwei graduated from the Beijing Institute of Technology, another university whose students are being rejected. There are a number of other Chinese universities whose graduates said the U.S. is blocking them. Many said they cannot continue their studies without coming to the U.S. this year because their classes are no longer available online. Kurt Dirks is an administrator at Washington University. He said, the policy affected only a few students. He said they can start school using their computer or wait to come to school next year. He said the university will help them keep up with their studies. Monica Ma is a 23-year-old information management student from China. She spent a year studying in Australia after completing her studies at the Beijing University of Posts and Telecommunications. She is supposed to attend Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania right now, but the U.S. rejected her visa request. She has a job offer, but cannot accept until she completes her degree. She said she will wait until next year. Maybe, she said, she will get a visa then. Another student, Li Chuanyi, is supposed to be in New York City at Columbia University. Li is now in Hong Kong. He said he will not come to the US even if the rule changes. The United States rejected me, and I am not going. I'm Dan Friedel.
Remember to go to the description and check the links for Canadian companies searching for employees outside of Canada. Also, you will have a link for our contact in the description. Since you only can count on yourself, make your inscription and hit the like and the bell icons to receive our latest videos. 3. Exercise.
Whiz U.S. denies visas to some Chinese students. Wang Ziwei is a 23-year-old finance student at Washington University in St. Louis, Missouri. He called the U.S. policy discussed in the story nonsense. What is another word for nonsense? The word nonsense could be used instead of clever. It does not follow a clear path of thinking based on the story. Nonsense could be an idea that is marvelous. Another word for nonsense is rational. Correct. It does not follow a clear path of thinking. If students who are supposed to study in the U.S. cannot come, what can they do instead? Students can wait a year to see if the situation improves. The students can start doing some coursework from home. Those who cannot get visas can try to study somewhere else. All of these answers are correct. Correct. All of these answers are correct based on the story. Why are some Chinese students worried about being unable to continue their education in the U.S.? They say they have already spent money that cannot be given back. They say they will not be able to learn the same things if they stay home. They have job offers that are based on completing their study in the U.S. Students have already started working with American companies. Correct. They have job offers that are based on completing their study in the U.S. What is the main reason why the U.S. seems to be rejecting visa applications from some Chinese people? The U.S. says China is unfairly changing the value of its money. It is worried some Chinese people will take U.S. technology and give it to the Chinese military. The government wants to reduce the number of Chinese people living in the U.S. None of these answers is correct. Correct. It is worried some Chinese people will take U.S. technology and give it to the Chinese military.
Tell us your questions and pretty soon you will see what we have to say. Leave your comments about this video and we will know what you like and what we can do to better help you. Thank you for watching this video and be sure that we will be with you in this journey to turn your dreams into reality. Keep up there and write your story. I'll see you at the next one. Bye for now.